Hi everyone, Nicholas Buffett is here from sunny Cyprus and welcome to today's tutorial. Today we're looking at November 2024, paper 3, and I'm only solving the web design component in this tutorial using Expression Web. If you want to see the first part of the paper, which is the spreadsheet part, go to my playlists where you can find all of the complete past papers, but I solved the web design component using Dreamweaver, but you will also find the first part of this paper, which is the Excel. I'm also going to be adding a link to that video in the description. So let's get started with this paper and see what it has in store for us. Okay, so the first step, we're going to have a look at the very first part of the paper where we have to make sure we have all the files saved on our computer. And we're going to create the evidence document now as well. So we just need to create a new word process document. Your name, center number, candidate number will appear on every page. And we need to save it in the following format: N24 evidence _ center number, candidate number. So let's go do that now quickly. So from my folder, make sure you've got all the files. I'm going to go to new Word document. And I'm going to give it the name 7_1234. Open that up and just make sure that my details are on every page. It doesn't say where, so I'm just going to use the header. Okay, there we go. And just do a quick save there. Perfect. Okay, and minimize that. Okay, so as I said, I'm not going to do the spreadsheet component in this tutorial because I've done that already. You can go to the tutorial for that paper in my complete papers playlist. We're going to go down to here. File management. Create a new folder called N24 and place these files in that folder. Let's go do that now. So right click, new folder, N24. And I want to add that one, that one, that one, that one, and that one. Right click and drag, copy them there. I don't want to move them. And over here, task 4. You will create a web page to help trainees learn HTML. Open the style sheet N24 web.css in an editor. Add a new class called red that sets the font color to hexadecimal code for red when this class is applied. Add a new class called center. Now notice the spelling, that's an English spelling, the name of it. That center aligns text when the class is applied. Save your style sheet, take a screenshot to show the contents of your style sheet and place this in your evidence document. Make sure all the contents are clearly visible. Okay. First step, we're going to open up this web.css, N24 web.css, that one. Right click on it, and I'm going to go to open with Expression Web. Now, before I begin, I'm going to show you my setup of Expression Web. I do this all the time, mainly to help you guys out if you're following this video so you have the same interface, but also to keep me in tune with Expression Web as well. So the first thing I always do, I make sure in the panels, I've got the tag properties and the apply styles selected. That's these two windows. This one here, tag properties on the left and the apply styles on the right. And then at the top, if you right click in the ribbon, I normally have the code view, comment, style, and style application. Now you can add these and remove these. It's entirely up to you. But if you keep a system where you always set up your interface, you won't be looking for things at some point. Tables I don't normally add unless I have to create a table. And then that's kind of obvious because you need to create a table. So you right click on it, you go to tables. So that's basically my setup. So let's begin. The first thing I want to do is to create a new class. So I'm not creating a new property here for any of the tags. These have already been made for me. So the easiest way is I'm just going to press enter to go to, right at the beginning there. So it's nice and neat. And from my apply styles, I can simply click on new style. And straight away, let's click on that. There we go. It's got dot new style. Now, whenever we create a class, it basically adds that dot at the front and they're looking for that. So I'm just going to call that red. So it's got dot red. I'm going to go to font. I'm going to choose the color and I want a color red
and make sure it's pure red, so the hexadecimal code for red. So that should be FF0000. Let's have a look. There it is. Hex FF000. If you choose the wrong one, and you can just go and edit that from here, or as soon as you click OK and OK, you can change the code from here as well. Okay, so that's that part. Now I want another class called center, so new style. I'm going to call that center. I'm using the English spelling exactly as it is there. And for this, I want to go to the font, and I'm going to go to the block. And here you've got text align center. Okay, apply and OK. And there are my two styles already created for me. So now I need to take a screenshot of that. I need to take a screenshot showing the file name, all of the styles, okay, all the styles and the classes, the two classes in there as well. But you need to make sure that file name is there also. Control S to save, and let's continue. Okay, it says here, open and examine the web page called n24web.htm. The web page and the attached style sheet have been created for you. Okay, the web page appears like this. Okay, that's my web page. So each table cell in this diagram is identified with a letter which must not appear on your final web page. Edit the HTML so that table borders do not appear on the final web page. So that's the first thing I'm going to have to do. And in fact, I'm going to do that now before I forget. And then replace the text, a candidate with your name, and save your web page in your N24 folder with your name. With that, okay, so let's go do that now. I want to open up N24 web. So from my folder, N24 web, right click, open with expression web. There it is. Okay, so now I can see everything here. I can see my tag properties. I've got all my tags. I've got my apply styles over here. I have to make sure that the table doesn't display borders. So I need to apply a style. So if I click on my table, there's a couple of ways of doing this. If I just click on the table, there you go, on this table thing up here in that tag in the HTML code, it selects the whole table. Now, from my tag properties here, I'm going to go to the style, click on the ... and here I can see my styles. And I'm going to be applying to the table property because that's for the one I clicked on. I want the border, and I want to put border width 0. And that's applied for all of the borders. Click OK. And there we go. We've now got the table style border width 0 pixels. And we can see that down here as well. Now, these little buttons here are quite useful. You can arrange the tags in different orders, alphabetical, so on and so forth. I prefer this one here, okay, because it shows them with the categorized list because I see all of them, all the categories at the top. Okay, I've done that. The next one was I need to change my name here. So where it says a candidate that to just get rid of the 999. Okay, so let's go down. We've done all of that. We now need to save the web page. So file, save as. And we're going to call that as web page underscore cy127 underscore. There we go. And just click OK. So there it is now. All right. Set all the text in cell A1 into style heading 1. Then we're going to set the text web development layers into B. So let's do these one by one. So the first in A, heading 1. So this is cell A up here. I'm going to select that text. And now from here, I can go to the top. And I've got my formatting. Can you see these things up here? Heading 1. There we go. Okay, next. Set the text web development layers in cell B in style H2. Set all other paragraphs of text in cell B in style
heading 3. And then apply the class red to only the text that. All right, let's start with that. Let's go have a look at cell B for a sec. Because cell B, you can see, looks a little bit off. All of this is just basically one paragraph. But at the top, if we look at the code, it's actually got it as separate paragraphs. Now, this is the thing with paper 3. You have to use your common sense and you have to think, read what it is it wants, and make sure you create something which represents what they're asking you to do. So we basically need to break these up, I think, into paragraphs. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to this one, the first one, because that should be in style heading 2. I'm just going to press enter there to break that up. And then it says all the other paragraphs. So these here, wherever there's a break, I'm going to change them into paragraphs, and that's where the numbers are. Or just break that line like that. Good. So this one should be heading 2. Everything else should be heading 3. All of these. There we go. And then, so other paragraphs of text is still being heading 3. We've done that. Apply the class red to only the text, 1 content layer, 2 presentation layer, and 3 behavior layer. Okay, so going to select here the 1 content layer, and I need to change that so that it is the class red. Now at the top here, I've got my class, and there it is, red. Good, and that's basically the class which I created. And that one as well. So you can see we created 2 classes, red and center. We can see them there. Great. Now then, set the text in cells C and D into cells heading 2 with class set to red. In C and D. Oops. C and D, those 2 there. Okay. So we want this one to be heading 2, class red. And the same with that one, heading 2, class red. Okay, we've done that. Set both paragraphs of the text in cell E into heading 3 with a class set to center. So E is where my name is. Now, again, it says both paragraphs, and you can see here in the code, it looks like 2 paragraphs, but here it's not. So I'm just going to break that so it goes down to the second line. So it looks like 2 paragraphs. I'm going to set that to H3. Like so. And now I want to apply the class center. Now, unlike the class red, where red, if we see here, this content here, you can see it's only applying the red to a span of text, number 1 content layer, and then the rest of the text is not part of that class. You can't do that with a center alignment. You can't center align part of the text. So we can't. Sometimes, I mean, if you do select this text and then you apply the class center, you see it's not, Expression Web won't identify you want the whole paragraphs. So you can see here, it's actually added the span. It's not put the class on the heading. It's put it a span from here and it's applying it to the text. Now, because it's applying it to the text, it's not going to center align it, which is what we're seeing here right now. We basically want to make sure that the class is applied to the heading 3, and that will center align it. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to undo that. Okay, so there it is. It's gone from there. So now I'm going to click on the heading 3 inside that heading tag there, inside the heading 3, and now I'm going to apply the class center to that. So you can see the class has been applied to heading 3, and now my text here is center aligned. Okay, so make sure what you are applying, you can actually see it happening. Set the first line of the text in cell F into paragraph style. Set the other 3 paragraphs in cell F as a bulleted list. Okay, so we've got this whole paragraph thing again, but this we can see again is one paragraph down here. So we need to break that up. So I need to, the first line it says to paragraph style. So if I press enter there, that should be paragraph. So I'm just going to go to class, format P. There you go. That's a new paragraph now. And we can see that if I select it there, there it is. It's using the P tag. Okay, and closing the P tag there. Then I'm going to break these 3 paragraphs, and we want them as a bulleted list. So there's 2 ways of doing this. The easiest way is just click on this list and turn it into a bulleted list. There it is up here. So I'm going to click on that bulleted list. Now I've got that gap. I'm just going to bring that up, delete that. And now whenever I break a line, it should add a list. There it is. And then there's the next paragraph where it says use, like that. So you can break them after you've applied the bullets. You can break it and then apply the bullets. It's entirely up to you, providing it looks correct. Okay, that's the most important thing. Set the title of the web page to Web Programming Tips, and in the HTML, set the name of the default target window to _self. Okay, that's a link. So let's go do that now. So Expression Web has got a fantastic little dialog box for the properties of the page. You can open it in 2 ways. You can either go to File, Properties, and that will open up the dialog box there. Or you could just right-click in the WYSIWYG area and just go to Page Properties. It will open up the same box. So for the title, we want small letters, Programming Tips. And then for the default target window, I want _self. So I'm going to go to here where it says default target frame. I want a new window, it says, but I don't want _blank. I want _self. Click OK. OK. So if we now look at the top, if I just separate that head section a bit to make it a bit easier, there you go. The title is our web programming tips, and the base target is _self. Good. Now, set the text in cell C as a link to open that, and cell D as a link to open that, with a new window called _blank. Okay. So here we're going to select this text. Now, there's a couple of ways you can open up the link editor. You can go up to the toolbars at the top in the ribbon and just click on the link editor here, insert hyperlink, and you've got either a web page, a place in this document, create a new document, or an email address. I want a place, I want an existing file or web page, and I want N24 HTML, that one. And then for this one, I'm going to do it the other way. I'm going to right click on it. You've got hyperlink. You get the same exact dialog box. I want N24 CSS. Now, if you remember to go to the target frame straight away, that's fine. If you don't and you click OK, then you can just right click on it, hyperlink properties, and you just go modify the target frame window, and it wants _blank this time. So click OK. And there's my code. Okay, perfect. Okay, place metadata in the appropriate section of your HTML2. Define the character set as UTF-8, -8. Add a description of the web page. All right, I'm going to do the description first. So again, I can just right click on my page, go to page properties, and you've got here page description. You can just type a description. I don't know, web page on web programming tips, whatever description you want, as long as it's relevant. And up here now, we can see in our head section, we do have our metadata there for our description. Now then, the character set as UTF-8. Now, There are a couple of ways of doing this. I'm going to show you one way, which is probably not my favorite way, but if you do forget, you can go to File, New, HTML, and it gives you that content there. Can you see that character set UTF-8? You can just copy that line and just go place that in the head section at the top, and that's fine. And you can just close anything that you've got open. That's fine. You can, if you want and you feel comfortable, just delete everything else which is inside the content and just leave the speech marks UTF-8. But I suggest just leave it like that so you don't put any syntax errors. The other way is just the easiest way. Open the triangle bracket, start typing meta. There it is there. Press enter, space, char set, and then just type what you want. UTF -8 and close the triangular brackets. So whichever method you want, it's good if you do actually learn that code. I'm just going to get rid of that one so I don't have a duplicate. So that's entirely up to you. Okay, so we've done that one. Save your web page, take a copy of the HTML source and place this in your evidence document. Okay, so we're going to do that first. Control A, Control C, go to my Word document, go to the bottom. Let's go to a new page. And again, I'm going to select all of this so it's not double line spacing. Your ICT students, let's just make this a bit more easier for the examiner to read. There we go. That fits nicely. A couple of pages is not too spread out. That's absolutely fine. Okay, so I've placed a copy of my HTML source. Display your web page in the browser. If necessary, resize it so that the entire page can be seen. All the text can be easily read. The address bar is fully visible. Take a screenshot showing your web page in your browser. Right, so I'm going to save this. Control S to save. So I'm just going to open up my folder, double click on the page, and I'm going to modify this page here. Just get rid of all the background. And I'm going to zoom this in a little bit. Now, you don't want to make it so that things are overlapping like this. You want a nice page as big as possible, but without any, there you go, that's good enough. Without any scroll bars, vertical or horizontal, if possible. And you want to take a screenshot, which is going to take the whole browser window with the borders of the browser window. Don't do this, for example. This is no good. That is not a good screenshot because we don't know that's part of, or that's been taken from the browser window. Secondly, it doesn't show the name of that window. So you want to be able to clearly see the name of that window up here. You want the full address bar. You want to be able to see the borders of this page and make sure everything's nice and readable. Copy that. Go to my evidence document. Let's just move down to the next page. I'm going to paste that there. And at the same time, I'm going to, there you go, make sure that's tight. And I'm just going to make that as big as possible so that it doesn't get cut off by the margins, but at the same time, everything is as big as possible and the examiner can see that clearly. Okay, so printing the evidence document. That's it. Not a lot there, was there? It did take a lot of thought process. You had to think about those paragraphs. You had to look at the code and see how that text was laid out as paragraphs. But in the web page, it didn't display paragraphs because it didn't have breaks. We saw classes. We had to create 2 classes. Had to be very careful with the name for center. We also saw links, but we didn't really have to do any web page design in this particular exercise. But it did require you to play around and make sure everything worked. So this paper wasn't a bad paper. It did require a little bit more thought process. If you watch the spreadsheet part of this paper as well, it wasn't that complicated, but again, it required a lot of thought process and analysis of that data. So The links to practice this paper, the whole paper, you can get in the description. If you like this tutorial, you learned something new, you know the drill, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. Make sure also that you share these tutorials with your friends so that they too can benefit from these tutorials and prepare better for their examinations. So until the next one, take care. Bye-bye.